Are we in a debt crisis or are we headed for one?
We are in my opinion, we are at the beginning of a...
Billionaire investor Ray Dalio is warning about a $34 trillion debt-fueled tsunami that is about to strike the U.S. economy. With each passing second, this storm is getting larger and larger, making it even more painful when it finally does hit, the fallout of which will likely be felt for generations. Listen to Dalio explain.
Are we in a debt crisis or are we headed for one?
We are in my opinion, we are at the beginning of a very classic late big cycle debt crisis when the supply-demand gap, when you're producing too much debt and you have also a shortage of buyers. What's happening now as we have to sell all this debt is we then do have enough buyers. There are changes now in terms of the quantities in the world that are being held by large investors around the world that have lost money in these treasury bonds and so on. And then there are geopolitical changes which are having an effect. Some cases, some countries are worried about sanctions, and then there's this geopolitical shift. So when I look at the supply-demand issue, there's a supply-demand issue for that debt. There's a lot of debt. It has to be bought, has to have a high enough interest rate. So a crisis, that's, if we continue down this path in terms of what's likely over the next, 5 and 10 years, then you reach the point that balancing act becomes very difficult.
How will we know? And is it really a function of not having enough buyers for the federal debt? Is there any evidence of that so far?
We're right at the brink of starting to find out that. The amount of selling of government debt collapsed, right? We didn't issue government debt. And now we're going to issue a lot of government debt. And so when we look at the buyers, there appears to be a significant shortage of the buyers for that government debt. But we're now at the brink of being able to see what that supply-demand picture looks like as we go over the next year and